Hello, my beautiful anomalies, and welcome back to the channel. Estrella here with another case. This case comes with its twists and turns, literally. Let's dub this case Code Adam Henry. Allow the evidence to speak for itself. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that noti bell. Alright, now let's get into it. This case surrounds a man named Henry Short. Despite his last name, he's quite tall, standing at around 6'7". He has a wife, Chelsea, and two children, Henry Jr. and Mallory. They live in Thermopolis, Wyoming. Henry and Chelsea had met at a coffee shop. It was a warm Saturday afternoon, and Henry was on his way home from running errands in the city. The shop was busy with people talking, studying, and enjoying the weather. It was honestly like one of those cheesy romance movies how these two met. He was sitting next to a window and scrolling through his phone when he noticed two women walk through the door. He overheard one of the women say, "I'll be right back, Chelsea. I forgot something in the car." Henry heard Chelsea say that she'll keep their place in line and order their drinks. Henry stood up to get a refill and bumped into Chelsea, apologizing profusely, and grabbing napkins to help clean up the mess. Her long brown hair, freckles that resembled constellations dotting her cheekbones, her piercing blue eyes captivated Henry as they locked eyes. It was love at first sight for Henry and Chelsea. Chelsea laughed, and that simple moment turned into a conversation. That conversation turned into the rest of their lives. The Foundation monitors the surrounding area of the Infinite IKEA, seeing as they have other businesses to try and deter people from entering said IKEA with cheaper deals for the same type of stuff, via Foundation-owned surveillance cameras and internet monitoring of the surrounding area. The information that I had gotten is from Mr. Gary himself. Mr. Gary has his way of actually talking to SCP anomalies, getting into the domain of anomalies, and talking to both the living and deceased. But it was Henry's case that caught his attention. I have no idea why Henry seems so special to him, but that's Mr. Gary for you. He's an odd one. It started with a simple favor. It was a Saturday afternoon, and Henry was sitting on the couch watching TV when his wife, Chelsea, walked into the room holding her phone. From the light pole camera directly outside their house, we were able to read their lips, and Chelsea had said they needed a new bookshelf. The one they bought 3 years ago was absolutely falling apart. She also said she found one at IKEA and asked if he could go pick it up. Henry had asked, "You want me to go to IKEA by myself?" Chelsea said, "Yes, you'll survive." Henry smirked and said, "I might survive, but my wallet might not." Henry grabbed his keys and said, "Fine, I'll go." Kisses her on the forehead, goodbye, and heads out. It was about 4:30 p.m. when Henry arrived in the area where he thought the IKEA was located. From the various traffic cameras, we could tell that Henry was a bit lost. He kept turning onto roads that weren't roads, driving around the same block for around 20 minutes. I absolutely hate it when the GPS tells me to go down a road that's not even a road. One time, it tried to get me to go down a pathway that was clearly meant for golf carts. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever had any experiences with GPS and it trying to get you to go somewhere you're not supposed to be. Henry pulled into the parking lot and there were almost no cars. That should have been his first warning. Henry checked his phone and it was only 5:12 p.m. The building looked enormous. He walked towards the entrance and the automatic doors opened. Inside, everything looked normal. Furniture displays, kitchen appliances, beds, couches. And Henry grabbed his phone. It was a message from Chelsea. "Don't forget the bookshelf." Henry smiled and started walking through the store. 10 minutes later, he realized he couldn't find the warehouse section. 20 minutes later, he couldn't find the checkout. 30 minutes later, he couldn't find the entrance. Henry stopped, confusion starting to form on his face. The hallway behind him looked exactly like the one he just walked through. He started to walk back from where he came from, or thought he came from, but there was the same couch, same lamp, same fake living room. Henry frowned, and we could see the confusion growing more and more. He pulled out his phone and he had no service. He tried calling Chelsea, but there was nothing. He tried again, and again, nothing. A bead of sweat was starting to form on his brow. We could see from the footage that anxiety was beginning to get the best of him when he started to pick the skin on his fingers. Henry should have never come to this place, let alone by himself. Then he heard a voice behind him. "Hello." Henry turned and an IKEA employee stood at the end of the aisle. "Can I help you find something?" The employee's head jerked to the side and unnaturally fast. Henry looked visibly nervous. "Yeah, I'm trying to find the exit." The employee just stared at him. Its smile grew wider and wider. "Exit?" We could see the color drained from Henry's face. The lights above him flickered. The employee's voice became distorted. "The store is now closed." It was either fight or flight for Henry at that point, and he chose flight. He started to run. He had no idea where he was going. He sprinted through bedroom displays, knocked over a lamp, and nearly crashed into a stack of chairs. Behind him came the sound of footsteps, fast footsteps. Henry looked over his shoulder. The employee was chasing him, but it wasn't moving like a normal person. Its arms hung strangely at its sides as it sprinted after him. Henry turned a corner and stopped. He had entered a warehouse. Shelves stretched into darkness. Boxes were stacked thousands of feet high. There were beds and couches scattered everywhere. And people, dozens of them. Some were building walls, others were carrying weapons. A man holding a baseball bat stared at Henry. "You're new." Henry looked at him. "Where am I?" The man slowly shook his head. "You're in SCP 3008. Henry laughed nervously. "What?" "The endless IKEA." Henry looked behind him. The employee was gone. The man lowered his voice. "Listen carefully. You need to stay with us." "Why?" The lights suddenly flickered. Everyone in the warehouse froze. The man looked towards the ceiling. "It's nighttime." Henry heard footsteps in the distance, then another, then dozens. The man grabbed Henry by the arm. "Get inside." Henry ran with him. As they reached the shelter, a familiar voice echoed through the warehouse. "The store is now closed." Henry's heart pounded. Then came the screaming. He pulled out his phone and stared at the screen. There was still no service, but he saw something that terrified him even more. The time on his phone read 5:13. Only 1 minute had passed since he entered the store. Henry stared at it. No. The man beside him looked at the phone. "Don't worry about the time." "How long have you been here?" The man hesitated. 3 months. Henry's face went pale. "That's impossible." "I know." Henry thought about Chelsea. She was probably sitting at home wondering where he was. He imagined her checking the clock, calling his phone, waiting for him to come home with a bookshelf. Henry looked around at the endless aisles. "I have to get back." The man shook his head. "Everyone says that." Henry tightened his grip around the pipe someone had given him. "I don't care." He thought about Chelsea. He thought about the promise he'd made before leaving. "I'll be back soon." Henry stood up. "I'm going home." He spent the next several hours searching for an exit. He followed signs. He climbed staircases. He walked through endless rooms. Nothing worked. Every path eventually brought him back to the same place. Then, just when Henry was ready to give up, he saw something. A door. Not a display, not a fake doorway. A real door. Above it was a glowing green sign. "Exit." Henry ran towards it. He grabbed the handle, and behind him the employees began screaming. Henry pulled the door open. Bright sunlight flooded his face, and he stumbled outside. He was standing in an IKEA parking lot. He fell to his knees, and his phone suddenly buzzed. 5:27 p.m. Henry stared at the screen. He had been gone for less than an hour. He immediately called Chelsea. She answered on the first ring. "Henry, where are you?" "I'm coming home." "Where have you been?" Henry looked over his shoulder. There was no IKEA behind him, only an empty field. "I got lost." Chelsea sighed. "Did you at least get the bookshelf?" Henry closed his eyes. No, there was a silence, and then Chelsea laughed. "Henry, I sent you to IKEA for one thing." "I know." "What happened?" Henry looked towards the empty field again, and just for a moment he thought he saw a blue and yellow sign in the distance. He quickly looked away. Nothing. The on-site MTF then is seen converging on Henry's location. They interview his experiences, and then he receives amnestics and is sent home. That, ladies and gentlemen, is SCP-3008, or the Endless IKEA. It is a part of the Euclid class. SCP-3008 is a large retail unit previously owned by and branded as IKEA, a popular furniture retail chain. A person entering SCP-3008 through the main entrance and then passing out of sight of the doors will find themselves translocated into SCP-3008-1. This displacement will typically go unnoticed as no change will occur from the perspective of the victim. They will generally not become aware until they try to return to the entrance. SCP-3008 is a space resembling the inside of an IKEA furniture store, extending far beyond the limits of what could physically be contained within the dimensions of the retail unit. Current measurements indicate an area of at least 10 kilometers squared with no visible external terminators detected in any direction. Inconclusive results from the use of laser rangefinders has led to the speculation that the space may be infinite. SCP-3008-1 is inhabited by an unknown number of civilians trapped within prior to containment. Gathered data suggests they have formed a rudimentary civilization within SCP-3008-1, including the construction of settlements and fortifications for the purpose of defending against SCP-3008-2. SCP-3008-2 are humanoid entities that exist within SCP-3008-1. While superficially resembling humans, they possess exaggerated and inconsistent bodily proportions, often described as being too short or too tall, and they possess no facial features and, in all observed cases, wear a yellow shirt and blue trousers consistent with the IKEA employee uniform. SCP-3008-1 has a rudimentary day-night cycle, determined by the overhead lighting within the space, activating and deactivating at times consistent with the opening and closing times of the original retail store. During the night instance of SCP-3008-2, it will become violent towards all other life forms within SCP-3008-1. During these bouts of violence, they have been heard to vocalize phrases in English that are typically variations of the "store is now closed, please exit the building." Once day begins, SCP-3008-2 instances immediately become passive and begin moving throughout SCP-3008-1, seemingly at random. They are unresponsive to questioning or other verbal cues in this state, though will react violently if attacked. SCP-3008-1 is known to have one or more exits located within, though these exits do not appear to have a fixed position, making it difficult to leave SCP-3008-1 once inside. Using any other door besides the main entrance to enter the structure or breaking through the walls of the retail unit leads into the non-anomalous interior of the original store. Special containment procedures are as follows. The retail part containing SCP-3008 has been purchased by the Foundation and converted into a site that has been redacted from records. All public roads leading or passing by this site have been redirected. The entrance to SCP-3008 is to be monitored at all times, and no one is to enter outside of testing as permitted by the senior researcher. I wonder how Henry got in then, since it's supposed to be monitored at all times. Oh well. In addition to the information that Mr. Gary had got from Henry, Henry was debriefed and administered amnestics by the MTF when he got out of SCP-3008. Any other entities exiting SCP-3008, however, are to be terminated. And since the duration of Henry's stay wasn't extensive by any stretch of the imagination, there was no cover story needed. That case was insane, you guys. I couldn't imagine being stuck inside SCP-3008. I hope you all learned something, and I hope you enjoyed this case. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that noti bell. And as always, stay safe, courteous, and polite out there. And remember, stay anomalous.